Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead The Ones Who Live video, and today I'll be talking about Rick's hand and the whole incident with him cutting off at the start of The Ones Who Live episode 1. I'll be talking about why I'm really not a fan of it and that maybe they just shouldn't have done it. I know that it did happen in the comics, but it happened right at the start of the apocalypse, at the start of the Governor arc. The first time Rick and the Governor meets, the Governor cuts off Rick's hand. The show never adapted it, and now in this spin-off, 14 years later, or 11, because it should have happened in season 3, he just cuts off his own hand as an escape attempt. And you might be like, yay, they find that comic moment. But personally, I'm just not a fan of what Rick did. And there are two big reasons why I didn't like Rick cutting off his own hand. One, it is just too late to do this part of Rick's story. There's a whole story aspect behind Rick losing his hand in the comics. In the show, he just cut it off and then they just moved on very quickly to be like he now lives for a couple of years without his hand. They don't really do anything big and it's not really built upon in any big way. And the second thing, him cutting off his hand amounts to nothing. The episode starts with him on his 4th escape attempt. He looks down, there's a wire there, and instead of going for the wire, trying to cut off the wire, or he can maybe cut off a finger or two and slide his hand out, he still had most of his hand. No, he just cuts off his hand, runs a few feet, and then collapses. It is such an underwhelming escape attempt, and maybe they're doing it to show how desperate he was. I just think it wasn't the right time. If you're gonna cut off Rick's hand, they should have made it this big thing. And the worst bit is, what makes it worse is because only a couple years later, but in the same episode, Rick escapes again. This should have been his last escape attempt. I believe Rick losing his hand should have been the wake-up call, not him escaping a couple years later. And also, the whole joining the CRM to escape was so dumb that Rick never thought of that. He's been trying to escape for 5 years. Why did he never think about getting on their good side to escape? It's just very poorly written the more you think about it. The episode was fantastic, but the more you think about him cutting off his hand and how it amounts to nothing, and then he tries to escape again, meaning escaping before wasn't this big thing. It was just a thing to make him look more like comic Rick in a way. It does suck a little. I'm not a fan of it. What I would have done if they had to cut off Rick's hand, I wouldn't do what my original theory was, which was like, oh, Michonne will be able to cut it off. I would stay to he cuts it off himself, and it's not a bite, that'd be dumb. I would make him cut off his hand his final escape attempt. That's what I would do. And I would actually do it not when he's still on the outside. When I would cut off his hand is he would have joined the CRM with both hands, done all the training, and then maybe on his 4th escape attempt, which would be his 5th in the show, he tries to escape and then his hand gets stuck. Or something like that, or where he's like, okay, I gotta prove that I died. Maybe Lord the Great, he cuts off his hand, something like that. I feel like he should have done a last-ditch effort on his final escape attempt as part of the serum to cut off his hand, and that's when Thorne would have found him without his hand, taken him back, and his hand would have been kind of, he's gone too far, and now here he is. And I don't think they should have spent more time with this escape attempt. And if, in my way, you merge escape number 4 and 5 into one escape, you would have more time to have this bigger escape where Rick actually gets a good distance away from the CRM while bleeding out with one hand. And then he'll eventually be hunted down and found by Thorne and even Okafor. And then you could have had that speech between Rick and Okafor where Rick then decides to just give up escaping and become this CRM tool. That's what they should have done. That's what the hand should have been used to symbolise Rick giving it his all to escape, to find out it is hopeless and that he will never escape, instead of being this random thing he cuts off just to continue escaping. We should have had this be the breaking point of Rick Grimes. That's what I would have done, but I just really dislike the way they did just because of how it amounted to nothing. But this is just my opinion. So please tell me down below, what do you think about how Rick cut off his hand? Did you like that it was at the start of the episode and then he ran a few feet and then cauterized it? That's another thing which I thought was dumb. His axe looks glowing hot red. I was assuming he's going to... The whole reason he's cut off his hand is because the axe is hot. He's going to chop down and made it cauterize the hand. No, it bled so much, and then he put his hand into a hot walker corpse, which is unsanitary. We know if you get any bit of walker inside your body, you die, get sick, and turn. He just puts this open wound into a walker corpse. It is just a little inconsistent with the lore that we know about the Walking Dead universe. It's just a very kind of over the top in a way, but please tell me down below what are your thoughts. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll see you in my next video.